Hey y'all, I'm Carrie.
And I'm Mandy.
And this is Monstrous.
And this is our spooky episode.
All right, so this episode is late. We had some issues. Life happens. It's late, but we're doing it.
We're doing it.
So this week you're going to get last week's spooky episode, your normal Sunday episode, and then this week's spooky episode.
Right. 3 episodes.
Yep, because we were late.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay, so North Carolina is known for its natural beauty. From the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Appalachians, and the Great Smoky Mountains to Carolina Beach and the Outer Banks' majestic ocean views. It is known for rich cultural heritage that runs deep within every Carolina native's blood. From traditions to barbecues and the Wright brothers' first flight, North Carolina is full of contributions to American history and nationwide renowned tourist attractions. North Carolina is home to America's largest home, the Biltmore Estate, and Chimney Rock, a go-to for rock climbers. It was the first of 2 colonies to declare its independence from England. It was the largest supplier of textiles to the U.S. Army during World War II, and 8,000 North Carolina men served in the Civil War. But even with its rich history and year-round tourists, North Carolina is no stranger to mystery, ghosts, legends, and tall tales. This week, I'm going to tell you about 3 locations within North Carolina's beautiful mountains that leave everyone that visit with a sense of mystery or even fear. Some of you will find each to be impossible, and others will believe. Either way, I'm here to tell you, as a North Carolina native, each of these places are real, but if you believe, it's all up to you. Growing up in the Appalachians, there are plenty of legends and tall tales, from Bigfoot, ghost stories, hidden towns within the mountains, and the guy down the road swearing he saw a panther last night. There's never a lack of stories to hear from those that have grown up or have lived in the area for decades. And with a history as deep-rooted and as rich as the Appalachian area, how could you not? Hearing these stories and legends are a wonder, and as a child, something you love. But there is nothing like going to see one of these mysteries for yourselves. Our first story today is one of North Carolina's true legends, one that was reported by Cherokee and Catawba Indians, settlers, Civil War soldiers, and even seen today by visitors and tourists. They are mysterious dancing orbs that many have seen over the Brown Mountain Range in western North Carolina inside Burt County.
Dancing orbs? Like what, on Ghost Hunters? Dancing orbs? Okay.
In autumn, on a dry, crisp, clear evening, you can drive up Brown Mountain and see a real, genuine, baffling mystery that no one has ever been able to say what causes it. When these conditions are just right and you decide to drive up the mountain, you may just be lucky enough to catch a glimpse of the glowing orbs rising up the mountain, hover, and wobble about 15 feet into the air and then disappear. And you may even be lucky enough to see these lights change color right before your very eyes. No one can deny these lights are real. They have been seen by countless witnesses and photographed on many occasions. But what causes these lights is still today unknown. I know many people will say it's impossible. There's no way it's real. But it is. I've seen the lights myself.
Oh, you've seen them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
My grandpa doesn't live far from Brown Mountain.
Oh, that's badass.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool as hell.
So, I grew up not far from Brown Mountain. And my pawpaw would drive us up Brown Mountain countless times. Sometimes it was just to see the lights. Sometimes we'd go hike the mountain. And others were to go to Linville Falls. So, I've seen them on more than one occasion. And they are real. They are as amazing as they are mysterious.
That'd be cool to see.
Not knowing the story behind the lights leaves everyone that hears about them wondering what they are. But once you see them, it's so amazing. That is the part you don't want to know. Because the mystery is part of their awe.
Right.
If you know it, it's going to ruin it.
Right. That's understandable.
So, For this tale, I'm going to start off by showing you a video.
You and your videos.
That I have. This one's not, it's not like the other ones, I promise.
Okay.
So the video was captured during one investigation of the lights. It is nowhere near like seeing them in person, but not everybody can go see them. So I figured video is better than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of grainy. You can see it.
Look at that. Look at that. She got a blue. Oh. Blue light. Oh, there it is.
Oh, wow. Red.
Watch. Right here. Man, I ain't never seen anything like that. There it is. There it is. There it is. Oh, oh, look at that. That's got to be reflected. Look at that. The hell is it? Was that a reflection? Well, the last time was different than the first 2 times. Well, it keeps disappearing. It keeps disappearing. Well, you ever seen anything like it, Josh? And Josh, it's showing up on night vision blue. That's why I'm thinking maybe this is a reflection of something. Is there a light being shined that we didn't know about? Because it shouldn't be blue on night vision. What is it? I only got a glimpse of it, but it was pretty distinct. If that wasn't a reflection, I'm not sure what the heck that was. Well, here's the thing. Earlier, I saw it up in here. And I dismissed it. I thought, I don't know what that was. But then, 3 times, I have to get back and look at that. It was bizarre. And right next to Brown Mountain lights are the lights that are showing up right now. Huh.
So
I'm sorry.
these lights here, he's saying are the Brown Mountain lights. Mm-hmm. So for everyone that's listening, if you watch the video, above the mountain ridge, you see lights. Those aren't the Brown Mountain lights. A lot of people think those are. Those aren't.
Oh, wow.
Those are lights from the town on the other side of the ridge.
Okay.
The Brown Mountain lights appear in the valley.
Oh, okay.
Where there's nothing but trees.
Right.
So it's very common that people believe these lights that are glaring are the Brown Mountain lights. It's not. Those are city lights from on the other side.
Brown Mountain lights? No, they're still in the same spot. But there was a blue light. It showed up like 3 times. And the last time it kind of raced. You know what? It looked like it almost manifested again. Do you have a laser on that camera? What was it? It was very distinct. Yes. Were you recording? Yes. Yeah, we get to look at it later. That's just all right.
And that's it. They don't reappear.
Oh, wow.
They don't show back up. This video was a National Geographic shooting of what they believe were the Brown Mountain lights.
That's crazy.
And they
cool
caught
looking.
the actual Brown Mountain lights without even realizing it.
Oh, wow. That was cool.
Told you it wasn't like my other videos.
No, not at all.
Okay, so for those listening, you can watch the video on YouTube. I'm going to put the link on Facebook on our page. And I'm also going to put it in the description. But in the video, you see the lights from the mountaintop, like I said, across the gorge on the other side of the ridge. Those are the ones that are glaring. Most people think those are the lights. It's not. So there's no roads where you see those lights.
Oh, there's not.
There's no roads. It's just
wow.
trees. So you see a white light appear. It moves around a little bit like it's floating, and then it disappears. Then it reappears and disappears again. The second time it appears, it kind of has like a blue color to it.
Yeah.
Then it reappears, but this time it's red. And you see it change from like the whitish blue color to red.
Right.
Then it disappears. Then it reappears again and seems to float around. Then it flies upward and just disappears. And that's the last time it's caught.
That's insane.
So the Brown Mountain lights are ghost lights. They've been seen for centuries. They appear randomly near the Brown Mountain. It's where they got their name from. In North Carolina in the Pisgah National Forest. It lies somewhat in the foothills of the Blue Ridge, and the elevation is only 2,600 feet.
Damn.
So it's not a very big
right.
mountain. It's small.
Right.
These lights have been investigated 3 times, by the United States government, and a countless amount of times by other groups as well. The students at Appalachian University have also studied the lights.
Oh, wow.
And no one has ever been able to give a distinctive reason or say what they are. There's tons of beliefs, but no one truly knows. The lights were even featured in an episode of The X-Files in 1999.
Oh, nice. That's badass.
Yep.
That's cool.
So there are multiple places to see the lights within the Linville Gorge area. That's where Brown Mountain and all that is the Linville Gorge area. So there's Wiseman's View. It's an overlook with an amazing daytime view of Linville Gorge. But if you visit the location after dark, you have to make sure you take flashlights because there's no lights out there whatsoever. So if you want to find your way down the very short trail to the overlook, you better make sure you have some lights.
Flashlights.
The next location to view the lights are east, overlooking Table Rock and Hawksbill Mountain. Brown Mountain is just beyond that ridge. So I grew up going to the Brown Mountain overlook. That's the best place to see it because it's on Brown Mountain.
Right.
And you can see like down into the valley. The National Geographic video I just showed you, that was at the overlook.
Where
Brown
you used
Mountain
to go.
Overlook. Yep. So the lights have been seen along the ridge as well as below the ridge down inside the gorge. Sometimes the lights can be viewed from on top of Table Rock, depending on where they appear at.
So they appear in different spots.
It's all along Brown Mountain.
Okay.
But they can be seen, so they might appear, like farther left.
Right.
Farther right, or lower down, or farther up. So some of the locations you get a better viewpoint just because this is where it's decided to appear is a little bit farther this way.
Right.
So NC Highway 181 has a Brown Mountain View overlook, which is about 12 miles north of Morganton. The lights are most commonly reported as small star-like dots of light that have the same brightness as stars. The motions of these lights varies from slow movements to rapid, almost like fireworks, which you can see in the video.
Right,
it's
yeah, that's
around
what it
real
did.
slow a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. So the legends and theories behind what causes the lights are numerous and cover basically everything. The Brown Mountain Lights played a very big role in the 2014 movie Alien Abduction.
Oh, nice.
This movie was filmed inside Burke, Avery, and Watauga counties. The movie features the found footage viewpoint, and it tells the story of a family on a camping trip to Brown Mountain who were abducted by aliens. The lights were the focal point.
Yeah.
So government researchers have attributed the lights to headlights of trains. The electrified homes now located on the ridge, and others suggest more natural reasons behind them, like bushfires or bioluminescence. However, the way in which the lights move, disappear, reappear, and even change color don't support any of those.
So does it happen every night?
Nope, it's random points.
It's just sporadic.
Yep.
That's crazy.
You may go up there one day hoping to see them, and you don't see anything. You could go back the next night, and you see them.
That's insane.
So the first reference to hit prints about the lights was on September 13th, 1913 in the Charlotte Daily Observer. So that was the first time it was ever put in print about the lights.
Wow.
Yep. So in both 1913 and again in 1922, the United States Geological Survey went to the area in order to investigate the lights. They visited different locations in order to log different notes, observations, things like that. The official report released had determined that the lights were again likely from a train's headlights or glare from the city lights as the area had become more and more electrified. However, the train that once went through the ridge and around the mountain had been washed out by a flood many years before that, and the train rails were never replaced.
Oh.
You can see the lights from the nearby town,
Right.
but they're nothing like the dancing orbs.
Right.
You can tell the difference.
Yeah, you definitely can in the video.
And in person, as someone who has seen them, it's very clear what are city lights and what are those. They're completely different. So every scientific explanation has been easily disproved. The lights existed before cars were invented. The lights were seen before, during, and since the 1916 flood that had shut down all car and railway traffic. They have even suggested it's swamp gas. But you can't have swamp gas without a swamp. And there's no swamp in the valley of Brown Mountain.
Right.
So it's hard to believe that a car, train, or any other natural theory can cause these because cars don't float in the air. The train tracks that could have been it aren't there anymore. And they were never replaced. Fire doesn't float. And none of them change color.
Makes you think.
A U.S. Weather Bureau report from 1919 explained the lights as an electrical discharge. But this was also disproved. Where does the electrical discharge come from if there's no electricity inside the valley?
That's true. There's nothing inside of there. Wow.
Not to my knowledge. Anyway.
Right, right.
Not anymore. Because there used to be trains that went up and down all those mountains. But a lot of them were removed. And the tracks are still there, but they're not used. One was turned into an amusement park. It's Tweety Railroad now. But that's not this area. It's a different mountain. And the tracks that went through that exact spot were washed away. They're not there. And there's so many trees and tree coverage. How would you see light from a fire?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So a serious investigation was carried out in 1922 by geologist George Rogers Mansfield. His report concluded that the lights were, quote, clearly not of unusual nature or origin, and that they were simply from car headlights, train lights, and stationary lights in bushfires. While others believe that swamp gas, like I said before, luminous electrical discharge, like ball lightning is caused by existing electrical discharge. In order to have ball lightning, you have to have something that creates energy, like light posts.
Right.
There's none of that out there.
Yeah, there's nothing out there.
Mirages. So we're all just going out there and standing on Brown Mountain and having a mirage. And maybe other natural things have caused the light. He's like, no way this is anything but natural. The legends surrounding Brown Mountain, though, interpret them as ghosts. Since around 1960, tales of UFOs, alien contact, and what are referred to as interdimensional beings have even been introduced as causes of the lights. These theories even contain fairies and little people.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So when I say theories cover all the bases, they cover all the bases.
Yeah, most definitely.
So in 1990, a book by Commander X had named Brown Mountain as one of the several locations for an underground alien base. So Brown Mountain is added to the extraterrestrial conspiracies, as well as the MJ-12 crashed saucer, animal mutilations, the Men in Black, and even claims of secret bases on the moon have all been tied to Brown Mountain.
What the hell? Damn, they covered everything.
Yep.
Like literally covered everything.
Yep. So in early folklore, like I said, they were identified as ghost lights. This claim has resurfaced as part of the ghost hunting craze of modern times. So amateur enthusiasts are continuously drawn to the mountain as if it were a graveyard or a haunted house. According to news reports in the early 1900s, the lights were linked to several spooky explanations, such as those being the lanterns of Cherokee maidens searching for fallen soldiers. They are the ghosts of Civil War soldiers, or even the lights of visiting UFOs. An old Cherokee legend says that the lights are for maidens still searching for the fallen soldiers, like I just said, who had died in a battle fought between the Cherokee and Catawba Indians at Brown Mountain in 2000 AD. Some also say that the battle between the Cherokee and Catawba natives located on the mountain left behind the ghosts that are still searching for the lost and dead.
That's creepy.
Mm-hmm. North Carolina has a lot of old
Right.
Indian legends and tales.
Right.
Because before it became a state, what it is now, it was a huge Indian area.
Right.
How to say
reservation.
Well, it wouldn't be
they
called
have
reservations. No, it wouldn't be called. So we have reservations because that's an area specifically for Indian natives.
Yeah.
But back then it wasn't.
Right.
They weren't reservations.
Indian
their
land.
Yeah, there we go. I couldn't think of how to say it right. I knew what I was trying to talk about. So it's full of Cherokee and Catawba native legends.
Right.
Yeah. You have your surplus in this area. So a more recent legend says that the lights are from a spirit of a heartbroken woman searching the mountain for her fiance who failed to come to her on their wedding day. Another legend is of a young mom who had been murdered by her evil husband. The lights come to life in order to help neighbors find her body, and they remain today, in order to remind evildoers that their crimes will always be revealed. According to legend, Brown Mountain was named after a plantation owner who died in the 1800s. Unlike most slave owners at the time, he was actually kind to his slaves. So when he went off into the mountain to hunt and never returned, one of his slaves had taken a lantern and began to search for him, but he too was never seen again. So it's said that the lights are his lanterns still burning as his spirit searches for his lost, quote, master.
See, that's insane. There's so many different theories.
Mm-hmm. One superstitious claim is that the lights are the ghosts of a mother and child that were murdered in the neighboring community of Jones Ridge. And the lights are the haunted lights still searching for the murdered woman and her child.
Oh, wow. Damn.
So the true first sighting of these lights is hard to pinpoint. But no matter what they are or where they come from, it's easy to be mystified by them. The sightings of these lights are rare, but if you're persistent enough, you will eventually see them for yourself.
I want to see them now.
With every decade that passes, the mystery remains and the legend grows stronger. The wonder continues on with every tale of the lights. It is left to each of you to decide what causes the lights. Is there a scientific explanation? Are they just reflection of light from nearby towns? Are they aliens and UFOs? Or is the valley of Brown Mountain haunted? Are there ghosts from centuries past still roaming, searching for their loved ones or for fallen soldiers? For now and for the foreseeable future, the Brown Mountain Lights are and will remain one of Western North Carolina's greatest mysteries.
That's a good one.
Then I have a couple clips. So these clips are from videos that are on one of the references. It's the pbsnc.org reference or source that I use. Source that I use. So even PBS did a segment.
Right.
See? I've seen them enough times that I know they're real.
That's the author Charles Braswell Jr. He wrote a book on the lights. And if I remember correctly, he's a North Carolina native and had never seen them.
Oh, wow.
It took him 35 visits before he actually seen them.
Oh, my God.
So that's how rare they are. He went up there for 35 days straight before he ever seen them.
That's crazy. I thought that maybe when you first started telling them that they showed up every night, that it was something you could see every night.
Nope. And a lot of people think that is because, like I said earlier, they see the lights on the other side.
So then they think that yeah.
And they think those are the Brown Mountain Lights. They're not. It's lights from the city on the other side. So the next clip, he is a retired U.S. forestry technician that works in this area.
Oh.
So even someone who worked in the area had never seen them.
That's crazy.
And that's the Brown Mountain.
That's interesting, though. That's really neat. Especially since it doesn't happen all the time, and people that's worked there or that's lived there their whole lives hasn't seen it, and then other people have. And you can't explain.
So it
Nobody
can't
can
be a
explain
natural
it.
thing.
Right. That's the crazy part about it. That's what makes it so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
My
Some
luck,
say,
I
like I
wouldn't see
said,
it.
some say it's swamp gas. There's no fucking swamp in there. How the hell is it swamp gas if there's no swamp?
Right.
It can't be train lights because there's not a train track there anymore.
Right.
So, for our second tale in this week's spooky episode, we traveled to another town in North Carolina. A town that was long forgotten until modern culture became curious and once again began to fall in love with this creepy, abandoned town. For anyone that has ever walked along the shores of Carolina Beach, you've been within miles of a ghost town located on the North Carolina banks of Cape Fear River. It is a quiet, picturesque site with an amazing past, but it is also one of North Carolina's oldest ghost towns, along with the creepiest town in the state. It was built before the United States was founded nearly 300 years ago and destroyed just a few decades later. Brunswick Town was the first permanent settlement in the Cape Fear area. Brunswick Town was an area of 360 acres arranged into 24 town squares, each being about 336 half-acre lots. So it was tiny.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's little.
Each town square was constructed for residential purposes, a church, a cemetery, a courthouse, and a jail. This town was the definition of a small town, and it was off the beaten path, easy to miss if you didn't know where it was. A town so off the path, beautiful, and spooky, it has been used as a set for many movies and TV shows. Like I Know What You Did Last Summer, American Gothic, the TV series Sleepy Hollow, Safe Haven, Dawson's Creek, A Walk to Remember, and many more. In 1726, Morris Moore founded this port town. At the time, North Carolina was still a colony of England, and the town was named Brunswick in honor of King George I, who was also Duke of Brunswick, which is now Germany. This port town became a bustling area used to ship out exports like tar, pitch, and turpentine, each product coming from the longleaf pine trees that grow heavily within the North Carolina area. So what was referred to as sticky gold was essential in building and maintaining the wooden sail ships for the Royal Navy, as well as the merchant flea ships that sailed the ocean between Europe, the American colonies, and the island of the Caribbean. Brunswick was the de facto capital of the colony, and the courthouse in this town was where the colonial assembly would meet occasionally. The official port functions required the merchants to pay taxes and shipping costs to the local representatives of the crown. So the crown eventually required that merchants, so the ones that sold exports or the imports that were coming in, they had to pay taxes and shipping costs.
Right.
To the people in the town that represented the crown in England.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, they obviously didn't like that. So in 1765, the colonists challenged the crown's authority to distribute these tax stamps. This led to the halting of the collection stamps along Cape Fear. This was 8 years before the Boston Tea Party took place.
Oh, wow.
So times were tough, and the war between Spain and England brought with it Spanish pirates. In 1748, 3 Spanish ships made their way into Brunswick Town, where they bombarded the town. To counter this, an attack was launched on the Spanish ships, where one was sunk, driving the other 2 ships away. The decline of this town was the result of many things, including the growth of Wilmington. Few people remained in Brunswick in the spring of 1776, when British redcoats made good on their threat and came ashore in March and then again in May. During the second raid of Brunswick Town in May, The town was burned, and by the end of the Revolutionary War, everyone that had remained relocated and abandoned Brunswick. The town was never rebuilt after this. Then, in 1842, what remained of Brunswick, the ruins and the land became part of Orton Plantation until it once again was abandoned.
Dang. Twice?
Yeah. Just left. I don't
Gone.
want you no more. Bye.
Yeah. Just gone.
Peace out.
Deuces. Bye, pimp.
After decades of calmness, this land once again seen carnage and the worst parts of humanity. It became the forefront of the state's history in a national storm, the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
In 1861, the Confederate States decided that it was time to take advantage of the high bluffs that overlooked the river by building a fort as part of the defense of Wilmington. And so, Fort Anderson was born atop the land and the ruins that were once Brunswick Town.
Uh-oh.
So it's no law now. Today it's not known as Brunswick Town. It's known as Fort Anderson.
So they just changed it all together.
Yep. In February of 1865, a month after the fall of Fort Fisher, Union forces planned to attack Fort Anderson. After 3 days of fighting, holding them off, the Confederate soldiers fled Fort Anderson in the middle of the night without Union forces knowing. At first light, the Union soldiers' gunboats began to fire upon Fort Anderson, not aware that Federal soldiers were scaling the walls of Fort Anderson at the exact same time. In the early part of 1865, the Brunswick Town area became a refugee camp for freed slaves. The freed slaves had to have somewhere to go.
Right.
So they went to Brunswick Town. These freemen were told that they had until early summer to be self-sufficient. And by mid-May, everyone in the town left it behind.
Again.
Yep.
So that's 3 times now.
Yeah. I guess technically 4.
No, it'd be
include the soldiers.
It'd be 4 times now.
Following this final abandonment, 2 men from the Revenue Cutter Service, which is now the Coast Guard, went into the area on a souvenir hunt. Let's just go to this 4-time abandoned area and just look for some souvenirs.
See why everybody just keeps disappearing and giving it up.
Just take some shit, why don't we? During this, they lit a lantern inside one of the magazines, threw the match onto the powder-strewn floor, and blew themselves and the building up.
What the hell? This place is like jinxed.
Like, I'm not sure why they thought it was a good idea to light a...
Let's just blow ourselves up and see what happens.
And throw it on the floor.
Right.
Covered in straw and gunpowder.
Yeah. What the hell?
But they did. Following this, Brunswick Town was largely forgotten.
Well, yeah. I would say so.
The ruins that sit today, some above ground, some partially underground, and the rest encased by the earth. This colonial ghost town gives a unique look on 2 separate periods within American history. Centuries-old damage from multiple wars are seen within the beautiful, idyllic landscape where this bustling town once stood. The stone foundations give the mind a world of possibilities on what this town once looked like. Old brick walls covered in Spanish moss that move like the ghosts do appear from behind the ancient trees.
Oh, shit.
In the 1890s, the civic group Colonial Dames dedicated time and effort to the upkeep of this historic site, including that of St. Philip's Church and the cemetery, where occasionally services and ceremonies are held in honor of the colonial and Confederate veterans. Aside from these visits, Brunswick Town was never rebuilt and is nothing more than an afterthought, a piece of land where 2 wars were waged and left behind as a wasteland.
So nothing's there?
No. Just the ruins.
Wow.
Despite its destruction in the 1700s and multiple abandonments in the 1700s and again in the 1800s, within the last few decades, more people have learned of this town and have begun to flock to it to visit the veterans' graves, to simply walk the streets of what remains of this once prominent town, and even for weddings at the colonial church that still stands. The church is the only building
left
that still stands in one piece.
That's insane. Damn.
Yep. Everything around it, there's damage to it.
Right.
You can see where bullets hit the brick walls, but it still stands. Everything else around it
It's gone.
is all ruins. Half stood walls, half stood buildings. You can see foundations, but no actual building. Because these ancient ruins are distinctive and a once-in-a-lifetime sight, if you travel on Route 133 midway through Wilmington and Southport, you will be among the trees and the bustling ocean. You will find the ruins of colonial kitchens, homes, and outbuildings. With every turn you take, surrounded by history and, according to many, ghosts as well. Some say visitors can see apparitions and hear noises within the ruins, while others say ghosts can be seen wandering the forest marsh and along the banks of Cape Fear River. These ghosts that are seen are said to be wandering the marsh and the banks of Cape Fear in Federal and Confederate uniforms, along with the soldier ghosts. You can see the ghosts of women, children, and freemen just wandering around.
Just walking around.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're still there.
Yep.
That'd be spooky.
Here in Brunswick, it is said you see the ghosts of pirates and even men that sailed upon the ocean on battleship North Carolina, a vessel described as the greatest sea weapon in the world, which now rests across the Riverwalk on the Cape Fear River. But these said ghosts are not the only spooky thing that rests within Brunswick town's limits. It all truly begins with the multiple unmarked graves hidden beneath the unmowed grass, including those of royals.
Oh, wow.
Outside of these, you can see marked graves of where once prominent families now lay at rest. Among these marked and unmarked graves stand a gravestone that is engraved with a Latin curse.
Oh, shit. Hell no. See, that's why it's been abandoned so much.
This Latin curse was placed over the grave of Rebecca McGuire. She was 17 when her life was tragically cut short. At the bottom is a Latin curse that loosely reads, "Whoever destroys this stone, may he be the last of his line."
Oh, hell no. No, I'm good.
It is widely said that if you stand on the bluff overlooking the river and you remain still and quiet long enough, Brunswick town comes to life right before your eyes. The streets appear beneath your feet. The homes encased within the earth grow from the ground. It is said if you stand still, remain quiet, and listen close enough, you will hear wagon wheels, horses, and the rhythmic hammer of blacksmiths all around you. And along with it, the outstanding and baffling story of a town built, burned, abandoned, and shelled. With the ability to remain still, quiet, and to listen, you hear the story of a town that changed America's course in history, not once, but twice. This is a piece of history every American should see, a piece of multiple wars that no other war has ever left behind. But are you willing to see a ghost town come to life and hear the story of Brunswick with your own ears? Are you willing to walk the streets of Brunswick next to a ghost? If you visit this town on your next trip down the coast, can you handle hearing the sounds of colonial life but see nothing but ruins?
I think we should go.
Are you willing to take the chance of the curse upon Rebecca's headstone attaching to you?
No, I'm not down for that.
And that is the history and legend of Brunswick town.
That's a good one. I think we should go visit it, though.
It'd be crazy to see.
I think it'd be really neat.
So it's become a tourist attraction.
Right.
They use it in movies, TV shows.
Yeah, I remember Dawson's Creek.
So the lake, Cape Fear River, that's where they go swimming at.
Right.
It's right there. The fish hatchery that's in Safe Haven, and then Dawson's Creek that's on the island.
Right. Oh, that's crazy.
Yep, there's been a lot of movies and TV shows that it's been used as a set for. Just because it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But it also has that creepy element to it. So it fits for, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
And the Sleepy Hollow show. That creepy stuff, it fits in there.
Right. It's interesting, though.
All right.
She's got a frog in her throat.
Okay. Along the East Coast, you'll find 10 states known as the Bible Belt states. Here, a war between good and evil has been going on for as long as anyone can remember. A battle between unseen forces that was waged long ago. In North Carolina, one of the 10 Bible Belt states, you will find multiple churches in each town where the state residents attend twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday, and as a child for 7 days in a row during the summer. Where a wave doesn't mean we know each other, it's being polite. Where strangers stop to see if you need help. In North Carolina, you say yes, ma'am, and no, sir. Here, bless your heart is really an insult, just a nice one.
That nobody understands unless you're from the South.
That is a fact. Although North Carolina is rich with history, culture, and deep-rooted values, it is also filled with a dark past. One that some say may just draw evil forces to it. And it's possible these forces may already be there walking among you, plotting what evil it will spread next. The location for this legend is Chatham County, North Carolina. It is a historic county settled in 1771 by planters who moved here from Cape Fear River. It is well known for its traditional rabbit population, but it has also become known for being the home of an unsolved mystery. A curiosity of nature that has become a legend, one that has attracted countless visitors and brought with them hundreds of explanations for the origin of this phenomenon. I'm going to tell you the legend of the Devil's Tramping Ground, a clearing where nothing grows.
Oh, that sounds creepy.
The name comes from a long-told legend that the devil himself walks along this circle, killing anything that may sprout within it. Through history, locals have believed this site to be haunted, some saying that at night, red glowing eyes can be seen within it.
Oh, no, that's crazy.
There is no definite reason to why nothing grows within this circle. So could this legend be true? Could the devil truly walk among the residents of this North Carolina town? I'm about to tell you the legends and those that have tried to explain this away, and in the end, you will be left to decide what you believe. Devil's Tramping Ground is located in the western part of Chatham County, 10 miles from Siller City. It is a perfect circle, 40 feet in diameter and a foot wide.
Wow. That's not big at all. Yeah.
Nope.
That's not nothing at all.
Normal vegetative growth native to the area grows and surrounds the circle without any issues. But within the circle, no plant life of any kind can be found aside from a small patch of sandhill wiregrass that sits directly in the middle.
But everything else around it grows?
Yep.
Just not in that one little spot.
Yep.
That's insane.
Locals have tried to transplant some of the wiry grass that grows in the dead center of this circle, but not once has the ground taken and continued to grow in any other type of soil.
That's weird.
It always dies. Visitors to the tramping grounds have anchored sticks, rocks, and other things in the bare area, but come morning, each object is cleared away from where it was left.
What?
Like it's not disappeared, it's just not in the spot it was left.
So like it's moved to another spot?
Mm-hmm. It's just moved out of the way.
What in the hell?
Yep. I'm going to show you a picture of it really quick, which I'll put these on the Facebook page too. Okay. So this is a article of it. So it's a close up. So it looks larger.
Right.
And it's black and white, obviously. Then that's an aerial view.
Just that little spot right there and everything else is grown around it.
Yep.
That's weird. That's insane.
That's just creepy.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything else around it grows except for that one spot.
Crazy.
And here's a side view. One's below.
Oh, wow.
That's the only patch right there in the dead middle where anything, and it's just that wire grass that like comes up like in your sidewalk.
Right. That's creepy looking.
The natives were restless.
Mm-hmm. And it's in the middle of the woods, literally in the middle of the woods.
That little spot right there. That's weird.
So the climate here is perfect for trees, plants, and weeds to grow and flourish. Yet, for as long as anyone can remember, as far back as North Carolina history grows, this circle is a spot where nothing has ever grown.
Never.
No. In 1881, the Weekly Star described the circle as to be, quote, as perfect as though it was drawn with a compass.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is literally a perfect circle.
I never knew that as many years as I lived in North Carolina.
A lot of people call it the devil's stomping ground, but the actual name of it is the devil's tramping ground. So along with spiritual and supernatural theories, there have been some scientific explanations offered as well. And I'm going to tell you those first. During the operations of old molasses mills, they used horses to power the mills. And some have said that those horses created the spot because they would constantly walk in a circle. However, when this was compared to the paths that were formed in the same way at a similar mill like the one that used to be in this area, it didn't support the theory at all. And not only that, the size of the circle is too small
Right.
for horses that would power a mill because you would need more than one.
Right.
That circle's too small.
Yeah, it's little.
In the 1940s, the North Carolina Department of Agriculture took samples of the soil to analyze it. This analysis determined the soil itself was sterile, but they could not explain why.
So nothing else showed up.
Nope, the only spot of the soil that is sterile is in that circle.
That's weird. That's really weird. That's fucked up.
In 1949, the publishing of John Hardin's book, The Devil's Tramping Ground and Other North Carolina Mysteries, which I used as one of my sources, brought much more notoriety to the location. Readers flocked to the tramping ground to see the mysterious unexplained circle with their own eyes. Because of the amount of traffic, the state highway department actually placed a sign directing people to the ground.
Because so many people come and see it?
Yep.
Like tourists and stuff?
It'll be even more now with your podcast.
Yeah.
And even built a turn off, which drivers could see the circle from what they said was a safe distance in 1956.
Oh, wow.
Testing continued for decades. People all over have tried to find an explanation for this strange mystery. No one, though, has studied the science behind the Devil's Tramping Ground more than that of Rich Hayes, who is a retired soil scientist. He himself has taken 2 separate samples and tested each with the hypothesis that the explanation behind the lack of growth has to be a chemical one, which he's a scientist.
Right.
Science can explain away everything.
Right.
He thought maybe the soil contained too much clay, which is very heavy throughout North Carolina. Or that the area's copper deposits stifled plant growth, or at the very least that the salt laid long ago still lingered inside the ground. But his testing disproved each of these theories. There is copper present, but it's not enough to cause no growth. The amount of salt to cause this would have been washed away over the years inside the state's climates. Hurricanes, the heat, the tropical storms that would, over the decades, have washed away any extra salt that would have caused no growth. The pH reading, which that matters in soil when you go to grow plants, from within the circle itself, read at 5.0, which is slightly lower than the ideal range, but not enough to cause the mysterious lack of vegetation within the circle. He stated, quote, "As far as I can tell, there's no soil chemistry reason why it's there." He continued with, quote, "Things should be growing in that soil." The tramping grounds are located in an area of North Carolina known as the Flatlands. This area is filled with trees such as oak and pine, both old and young, both types native to North Carolina. But not a single tree grows within the circle, but both types surround the circle. Even the cracks in the ground that are found in naturally dried dirt should have some kind of weeds or grass growing up through the cracks. But according to Hayes, this doesn't even happen, even though the ground should be hospitable. John Hardin's book about the tramping grounds and other North Carolina mysteries references W.A. Bridges' findings of soil samples that he tested. Bridges owns a laboratory in Wilson, and alongside Dr. I.E. Miles, director of the Soil Testing Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, they had ran tests on soil samples from within the circle, from the middle of that circle to be exact. Tests performed by both scientists showed that the soil within its path is sterile. Bridges stated, quote, although there may be other factors of a physical nature that would make this sterile soil, our findings show that plant life will not be supported on a soil that is so acid and so low in the necessary soil nutrients. Other theories surrounding what has caused this bare patch in the woods of this town ranges, and it includes everything from an Indian burial ground to the location of a meteor strike. However, regional legend says that Satan himself takes a nightly walk in this very spot. He walks around in circles, contemplating what evil he will bring upon the earth next. Broom's edge, moss, different types of grass, and trees grow all around the circle, but within it, nothing other than the small patch of wire grass in the direct center is found. This patch of wire grass is left because the devil walks the edge of the circle, not in the middle. According to the legend, the obstacles that have been left to only be moved the next day are moved because the devil kicks them out of the way as he tramps along, cooking up evil deeds.
That's crazy.
Legends further this tale by noting that birds do not build their nests on any of the trees adjacent to the circle, and that wildlife is never found inside the circle.
So it is all around, but just not in there.
Mm-hmm. They avoid it. According to John Hardin's book, lawyer L.P. Dixon of Siler City tells of a possum hunting incident in the area. He says when a hunting party approached the devil's tramping ground, the dogs lowered their tails, gave up the scent trail they were on, and dropped behind their owners to have the safety and protection of their humans. According to tales years ago, travelers didn't dare to pass this spot after nightfall.
Shit, I wouldn't either.
As far as anyone knows, no one has ever spent the night here and been able to disprove that this happens. But no one has been able to prove that the devil appears either. The daunting legend of the devil walking among us is not the only theory that has come to life as an explanation for this strange landmark. Some believe this circle was the spot of an ancient meeting place for the local Native American tribes, who caused this bare spot with their ceremonial dances. Another theory links this area to that of Roanoke Island and its legend of the lost colony, as do many Tar Heel Indian legends do. This legend holds that the tramping grounds was an area called Croatan, which was named after a fallen tribal chief after a battle. The word Croatan can be found carved into a tree located on Roanoke Island. And it's believed that it was done in reference to the location of the tramping grounds, as the members of the Lost Colony had left the site of Sir Walter Raleigh's colony on Roanoke Island to be forever swallowed up in oblivion. Never seen again.
See, that's insane to me.
Yep, they left the island, it's gone.
Like, never, nobody knows anything.
Nope. I've never, dove into it, but that's why they're called the Lost Colonies, because they're lost. An entire colony is just gone.
That's crazy.
So in both of these tales, the tribal gods had preserved the Bear Circle as a memorial site. Thousands of American Indians would meet in this location along with their ceremonial dances, and they would also eat, hold feasts, and even have wars there. So their god had kept it as a monument to the Indians in which wore the circle on the ground. by their feet as they danced around the fire in honor of him and in defiance of their enemies.
And that was all in a circle?
Mm-hmm. Because when tribal Indians would do, and some on Indian reservations, some of them still hold these traditions today,
right?
But not all do. But they would have ceremonial feasts, ceremonial dances where they would have a bonfire in the middle, and then they would dance around the fire. Yeah,
right.
And they say that one of the legends says that this is where that took place because this was a grounds for an Indian tribe at one point in time.
That would make sense, though.
They also say that years before the white settlers had found their way to the region, two rival Indian tribes met in battle at this exact location. And after their short but bitter battle, the grounds were stained with blood of the dead and the wounded. When their chief was gone and many of their warriors died, the remaining members of the tribe gathered together for a brief ceremony and then buried their chief in the exact spot where their circle is.
Oh.
So it said where his body lays is the exact center of the devil's tramping ground.
Well, that can make sense too, though. Why nothing would grow? Because they could have.
And both of the legends, like I said, the gods preserved it as a memorial.
Right. So that makes sense too.
Mm-hmm. So following this, the tribe had fled east farther to the coast to avoid any further contact with their enemy and to start anew with their weakened tribe.
Right.
The second half of the century, though, brought even more people to the grounds when it became a popular party and camping area. So up until this point, really no one but the locals knew what the area was.
Right. And now it's like a big tourist attraction.
Yep. Because it's gained more and more notoriety.
Popularity and stuff. Yeah.
So the path has been in existence for as far back as memory of man. And as it is today is as it was, without a single piece of vegetation growing in the pathway or within the circle, as it was back then. So for as long as it's existed, nothing has ever grown there.
But I wonder if it did before, though. Like before somebody was buried there, before they were doing their dances and their rituals and stuff like that. I wonder.
Nobody knows. As far back as memory and as legends and stories,
nobody knows.
And as far as written record goes, there has never been anything there. No one has ever seen anything grow.
That makes me curious. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
And like I said before, all the soil around it is fruitful. There's trees and grass and plants. And all of that grows.
It's just
except for this one spot. That's why it's such a mystery.
In that one spot, and people has done research on it.
Mm-hmm.
They've done testing on it.
The government itself has tested it.
Right. And
nobody has any answers.
That's insane how stuff like that can happen, though.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you, like, scientists can't even come up with an explanation.
No, and some people say, oh, science can explain everything.
Not this.
But can it?
Right.
Can it, though? So, if science can't debunk the legend, it leaves questions behind. Like, why the circular shape? When grass and trees grow all around the edge of it. Grows all the way up to the edge of the circle.
To that one spot.
Yep. As Hardin points out, soil rebuilds itself over time. But this soil has remained bare as far back as history goes. As Hardin states in his book, science deepens the mystery and leaves us with even more questions than before.
That's wild.
While scientists look to find an explanation and debunk all legends and theories, the natives and thousands of others that have visited the site have a strong belief that the devil has caused this bare spot. Who discovered the spot is not known. Nobody knows who actually discovered it.
Oh, wow.
The legend of this bare spot has been passed down from one generation to the next for more than 150 years. If this is an ancient Indian burial ground, it doesn't appear that any gods have been angered. There's no true evidence to say the devil walks here nightly, but there's also no evidence to prove that he doesn't. But if he does take a nightly walk, cooking up new evil deeds to release upon the earth off this royal highway in Chatham County, North Carolina, then the world's misery has been hatched from right there in lovely Chatham County.
That's crazy. Do people camp there?
Yep. That's where the claims that there have been red eyes seen from within the circle come from.
Right. But nobody has been able to prove it.
Nope. It's something that's been around for centuries.
Yeah.
And no one has ever been able to distinctly say what it is and why it's there.
That small little circle.
Yep. It's 40 feet in diameter, but it's only a foot wide.
Right. It's so little.
In pictures, it does look bigger.
It does, yeah.
And that's because they take side views and
right.
Close-ups, but the aerial view that I showed you, you're able to see how small it really is.
Yeah. And we're posting the pictures, right?
Yep, I'm gonna put the pictures for each of the stories on Facebook. Even the road, they even named the road that this is off of, because in one of the pictures, it's like the picture from Google Maps.
Uh-huh.
It's in the woods. There's not a road. There's just a tiny little path that leads off the main road to it. That road is called Devil's Tramping Ground Road. They named the road after it.
I'd like to go see it.
It'd be pretty cool.
I think it would be awesome to go see.
Mm-hmm. But you might just bring something back with you.
I still think it'd be awesome to go see.
All right. That's it. Okay. So that is the spooky episode for this week.
Watch for monsters.
And don't kill people.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Please be sure to rate and review so we can make sure we give y'all a podcast you love. Be sure to subscribe so you get notifications each week when episodes air.
If you want to send us a case or a topic suggestion, you can email us at monstroustcpod@gmail.com.
Also, be sure to check out our Facebook page for updates along with information and photos for each week's episodes.